We live in a fast-paced world, and I want to share with you what some of the great thinkers of our time in history, people like Nicola Tesla, Leonardo Da Vinci, Ernest Hemingway, and even billionaires today, what they use to their advantage, which is literally nothing. So let me ask you, how much space or quiet time do you give yourself each day where you're not distracted, you don't have a phone or a device or anyone around you? Obviously not working or completing a task, but really quiet time to do nothing. The reason why quiet time is so important is because it's contemplation time, it's time to self-reflect, time to check in with yourself. One of the biggest causes, or the biggest cause of stress, exhaustion and burnout is overthinking. So it's a very busy mind. So this idea of creating quiet time does a lot to reduce those symptoms and rejuvenate us. And in order for you to value this, I need to explain to you what we get out of taking quiet time. If I was to say to you, you know what, I want you to take 10 minutes out of your day and just be quiet and do nothing, it's going to be a thing that you tick off your to-do list. Okay, I've done my quiet time. But you don't see the value behind it. And that's where it's important, because there's a reason why the great thinkers of the world and billionaires today still use this routine in order to get the best out of themselves. The reason why this is so important is because of the way that our mind works, okay? Our mind helps to come up with ideas and solve problems. It's very creative, but it comes up with this stuff in the gaps, right? It's not coming up with it when we've got a full mind, we're heavy, deep in a task, or we're multitasking, right? And we're very busy. It's not going to come up with it at that time. We need to create a gap. But today, we don't create gaps, right? When we have a gap, we pick up the phone, we look at social media, we do something, right? And so unfortunately, we're not creating that space for the good stuff to arise. And so in order to make this shift, you need to see the value of a mental gap. So the first way that taking this quiet time out, the first way that it helps us is, number one, it provides mental and emotional rejuvenation. So I have an activity in my program called the Alpha 10, and the alpha is referring to the calming alpha brainwave state. And basically it's where you do nothing, okay? And so I take people through this process, and it's really simple. So if you find meditation a struggle, this you will find easy. And the benefits are huge, because taking just 10 minutes out of your day allows your mind to uncoil from all of that crazy overthinking, to-do lists, stresses, worries, concerns, future stuff, right? It allows the mind to uncoil, and it processes emotions. It rejuvenates us, right? And without this space, it doesn't matter how many supplements you take for anxiety, for your brain, for your focus. If you don't take this time, the supplements are not going to help you, right? It's just, there's a massive backlog there that needs to be processed, and taking that quiet time helps all of that to unwind. I've had cases where women who have had adrenal fatigue for like 10 years and nothing has helped them. And by understanding how the mind works and taking them through this process, they were able to suddenly recover from their symptoms and from their condition from 1 week to the next, right? And the body, when we release a lot of that stress and anxiety, the body recovers really, really fast, right? Because we know that the stress response stops the healing response, okay? And so the power of this is not to be understated. Secondly, we get access to fresh ideas and insights. Now, this is the lifeblood of a business or anyone in a leadership position. So think of it like this way, that fresh ideas and insights help us to come up with new ideas, new products. It helps us to solve problems and challenges very quickly. So it's very, very important if you're running your own business or you're managing a team. I read recently that Christopher Nolan, which is I think one of the best filmmakers now, who did Inception and Oppenheimer amongst many, he has no phone and he has no email, okay? So you can't contact him. And he says this is required in order for him to do his deep thinking and his deep focus and his deep work, time without distractions. And in fact, Bill Gates does a think week, right? Where he takes himself away for 1 week, no distractions, no one there, and he has deep solitude and reflection. That's a billionaire, okay? And then people throughout our history, people like Leonardo Da Vinci, Martin Luther King, Nietzsche, Jesus Christ, Nicola Tesla, Ernest Hemingway, to name a few, respected this time in deep solitude and contemplation as an important part of their process. So the problem is we get bored. And actually there's a lot of goodness in boredom, right? This is where we create the gap in our mind and we can come up with new ideas and problem solve. Number 3, creating space and quiet time contributes to emotional bandwidth. So when there is no space in your mind, you have no emotional bandwidth. So this is where you lose your temper quickly, you get stressed really quickly, and it looks like it's coming from those around you, but it's really because you don't have the tolerance, right? And you end up seeing things in a negative way. Like you have a very negative outlook when you don't have emotional bandwidth. So as a leader or as a business owner, you can't get caught up in your emotions. If you don't have emotional bandwidth, you're going to have your emotions hijacking your day and disrupting everything that you can do. And even as a woman who's juggling work and family, coming home with no bandwidth means you're going to snap at your kids or not have time for them or their questions, right? So really, really important. And number 4, a really important one, is that without that time, you lose connection to yourself, okay? So you don't get a true sense of yourself or a true connection to yourself until you do nothing, until you spend time on your own doing nothing. I'm not talking about, you don't have to do a Bill Gates where you spend a week, right? It's 10 minutes a day, wherever you can find that. But if you can see the value in that, then you will do it, right? I don't have to convince you to do it, right? But you have to see the value in that. So I remember years ago, I went up into the Andes Mountains in Chile on horseback with a shaman, which is a story for another time. But I spent about 4 days up on that mountain. There was absolutely nothing. We had to pitch a tent. There was nothing there. And it was probably one of the best moments in my adult life. So I found on the first day, my mind was starting to slow down. By the second, third day, my thinking had completely changed, particularly my inner talk, right? My inner talk had really changed. I'd really softened towards myself. I was really relaxed. I can't remember a time that I've ever been that relaxed. And in fact, I remember I would drink a cup of coffee in the morning and stare at a mountain for about 2 to 3 hours, right? It sounds pretty crazy to do, but it was so easy to do and it was so peaceful and so relaxing. So, you know, that's obviously an extreme version, but that time is so important that we reconnect with ourselves. And if we're not taking that time, we're just getting stuck in our intellectual brain, which is always bossing us around, giving us old thinking, old ideas, old information, right? So we really need to carve out that space in order to reinvent ourselves or reinvent our business or come up with something new. So those are just 4 benefits of carving out some quiet time for yourself every single day. When I speak to women that are really busy, professional women, career women, executives, business women, I can hear in their schedule that they have absolutely no time, right? And if you control your calendar, you control your time. And I'm talking about 10 minutes a day. So those are the 4 things that you will receive from taking that 10 minutes out a day, right? So I want you to leave me a comment below and let me know, can you see the value in taking this time out for yourself? Can you see how it would help you? And let me know when you would start.